They accused me, fired me, and that's how everything went wrong for them. Let me explain what happened. I used to work at a fancy restaurant that belonged to a big company. I worked there for about 3.5 years before they let me go. But I'll get to that part later. First, let me tell you about my job there. My job was pretty flexible. From the start, I made sure to learn as much as I could. Whenever I wanted to try something new, I'd bug the managers until they let me. I began as a server but ended up doing all sorts of jobs like hosting, bartending, and even delivering food. I wanted to work as many hours as possible, so I took on different roles. Sometimes I'd make extra money from tips as a bartender or server. Eventually, the managers saw that I was best at working in a non-tip job. They even gave me some extra responsibilities like supervising the team that handled carry-out orders, catering, and deliveries. I was happy to take on more work, but I also asked for a raise since I was doing more. They agreed, and I got a pay bump of about $1.50 per hour. I wasn't trying to get rich. I just wanted fair pay for the extra work. I just wanted to pay my bills and still have some fun. Living in Chicago, where taxes are high, was tough on my wallet. I enjoy simple things and can entertain myself for a long time without spending much money. A video game could keep me happy for months, even years. Plus, I had a pet to take care of, which added to my expenses. Not long after I became the unofficial supervisor, I started dating someone. This meant I was going out more and spending money on dates. But with some careful budgeting, I managed to afford everything. Money wasn't a problem for me. However, the restaurant had a high turnover rate among managers. When they said they were replacing our general manager, we thought the new guy would be great. But when we Googled him, we found out he had a criminal record for domestic abuse. This worried us. Once he started, things got worse. One of our best managers quit because she couldn't stand working with him. She warned us about his behavior, saying he'd likely make inappropriate comments and ruin the place. After the good manager left, our new boss started replacing all the other managers with his own picks. Almost everyone got swapped out, except for one guy, Frito, who ran the kitchen. Frito had been around since I started there, and he was a bit of a chameleon. His values seemed to change depending on who was in charge. He was kind of a suck-up, to be honest. Since our department didn't get a new boss, we pretty much ran things ourselves. We didn't have someone breathing down our necks all the time, which was nice. Whenever we needed a manager's approval for something, Frito would step in since he was closest. Over time, the new managers started seeing Frito as our boss too, but the hourly workers still saw me as their supervisor. Whenever Frito tried to make changes that would mess things up for us, the team relied on me to sort things out or convince Frito to let us do our jobs the way we knew worked best. We argued a lot, especially about how important hours were for us. Frito thought we should be living off tips like servers, but most of our orders were carry-out, and those customers didn't tip much, if at all. Frito didn't really understand our situation. Eventually, we had a big meeting with Harvey, Frito, and all the workers in our department. They said it was a chance for us to speak up about any issues without fear of getting in trouble. So we did. People talked about how Frito was trying to cut our hours, even though he wasn't officially our boss. When they mentioned hiring a new manager, they suggested I take over since I'd been supervising things pretty smoothly for a while. I was the go-to person for making work schedules because I understood everyone's availability. When they suggested I take over as manager, Harvey and Frito seemed to decide right then and there to get rid of me. They made all sorts of promises at a meeting, like not cutting our hours and always having enough people to close up properly. But within a week, they broke those promises. One night, after a big catering event, Frito tried to send everyone home early, leaving me alone to clean up. I reminded him of his promise, but he basically threatened to replace me if I kept complaining. It was clear he wanted me gone, so I backed off and did the cleanup myself, even though it meant working late and getting in trouble for overtime. Later, when I came in early to have some free soup before my shift, a line cook gave me a free dish that had been canceled. Frito acted like he didn't know about it and accused me of stealing. Harvey backed him up and fired me on the spot, saying that was my last meal there. I tried explaining to them that the line cook had given me the food, but they wouldn't listen. I'd offered to take them to the kitchen to clear things up, but the cook had already left. I had no choice but to gather my things and leave. On my way out, I told my coworkers what happened, and they were shocked and upset. Before leaving, I decided to stop by the accounting office to pick up any tips I was owed. I had a feeling something fishy was going on, so I recorded the conversation on my phone. Even though the video was dark, I caught Harvey and Frito discussing how they had planned to get rid of me. When I confronted them, they gave me my tips and I left without causing a scene. I knew I might need the evidence later. On my way home, I posted on social media about being fired and started looking for a new job. I quickly got an interview and was offered a job, but I turned it down. Eventually, I found a better job with higher pay and no customer interaction. During the interview, the manager mentioned Harvey had accused me of theft. I showed him the recording, and he believed me. He listened to Harvey and Frito admitting to setting me up, and that was enough proof for him. The manager who interviewed me, Dean, hired me right away when I showed him the front of the restaurant with its logo. He asked for the recording, and I sent it to him. I thought that was the end of it. About 7 months later, after settling into my new job, HR sent out a welcome email to all new team members. One of them, Thomas, was a former coworker from the restaurant. He told me the company was under investigation and that he had been laid off. He explained that before the corporate investigator arrived, Harvey and Frito tried to bribe my old department to say I was bad at my job. But when the investigator showed up, several people quit on the spot and exposed Harvey and Frito's lies. A few days later, the investigator showed Harvey and Frito the recording I had made. They denied it, but their voices were unmistakable. The investigator separated them, sending Frito to another restaurant and demoting Harvey. Their friendship fell apart, and they even fought publicly on the company's Facebook page. Frito was pictured in a post, and Harvey made a snide comment about his misconduct. This led to a heated exchange between them. After the Facebook exchange, Frito accused Harvey of cheating on his wife with Janet's sister. Janet was the girl they put in charge of my old department after they fired me. Harvey fired back, accusing Frito of hitting on waitresses. Frito retaliated, saying Harvey had tried it on with half the waitstaff. This argument caught the attention of Audrey, the auditor, who was secretly the regional manager and had hired Harvey's wife as a general manager elsewhere. She investigated and found several female waitstaff and bartenders who confirmed Harvey had made advances on them. They said he offered to be their sugar daddy for nudes or late-night rendezvous. Harvey got fired, and Audrey told his wife everything, leading to their divorce. During Audrey's investigation, she interviewed the line cook who gave me the free food. He revealed he was an illegal immigrant and that Frito had been running a black market, making fake IDs and social security cards for illegal workers at reduced wages. Audrey had to involve the FBI, and Frito was arrested. He gave up the names of others involved, and many were deported. Thomas, my former coworker, explained all this to me. It all stemmed from my firing, but I never sent the recording to corporate. I only showed it to Dean when he hired me. Thomas explained that he had sent the recording to his wife, who was a lawyer. He wanted to see if I had a case to sue my old job for what they did to me. But he also remembered that I had said I didn't want to make millions off the company's mistakes. I just wanted to see those two scumbags fired. His wife sent the recording to the legal team at my old job's corporate headquarters. They showed it to the higher-ups, and things snowballed from there. What started as trying to get justice for me turned into a huge mess. There were accusations of sexual harassment, managers cheating on their wives, mass layoffs, an FBI investigation, and several deportations. I hadn't actively sought revenge, but the fallout from that recording was huge. Thomas showed me that even if it wasn't revenge, it was definitely a nuclear outcome, leaving a massive crater in its wake.